called Islamic State group. And footballer Wayne Rooney's been banned from driving for 2 years for drink driving and ordered to do community service.
It's 9:01.
Community Conversations is brought to you by Arkansas Early Learning, offering no-cost childcare in Jonesboro and Northeast Arkansas. Applications at arearlylearning.org.
Arkansas Early Learning is a nonprofit organization.
KLEK LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for Community Conversations, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place, while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
Good morning to everyone out there, and happy Monday to you. I hope that you're having a great start to your day. I'm your host of Community Conversations, Quabila Harden, and today my very special guest is Dr. John Hall, PhD, LP, SPS, NCSP, which he'll explain what all those letters mean. He is Professor of Psychology and Counseling at Arkansas State University. Good morning.
Thank you very much for having me here.
All right, so I want you to please tell our listeners and viewers a little bit more about yourself, and then we'll get into our topic for today, which is discussing the psychology program, what individuals who are considering a career in that field, what they can expect, where they can work, and things of that nature. But I want you to please tell a little bit more about yourself.
Well, I am a Jonesboro native, and attended the Jonesboro Public Schools and went on to Arkansas State University and earned a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology there, and then a Master's in Rehabilitation Counseling at Arkansas State.
Okay.
And along the way, through some good advisement of some of my professors and the department chair, I found out about school psychology, the profession and the career, and applied to graduate school and got accepted at the University of Cincinnati, and was fortunate to get a full scholarship and earned another master's degree and my doctorate there.
Oh wow, so you just really been all over the place. So what brought you back to Jonesboro?
Well, I kind of always had the intention of trying to come back home if I could. My dad was an administrator at Arkansas State for 27 years and helped build the university under Dr. Carl Ring in the early days.
Oh, wow.
Who the Ring Center is named for.
Okay.
And I worked as a school psychologist in Ohio and northern Kentucky, and decided I wanted to go into academia. I kind of knew that along the way, wanted to be a professor. So when the job opening showed up at ASU, I applied and was fortunate to be interviewed and hired. And my wife kind of had a similar path. She was a nursing professor at the University of Cincinnati, and an opening came here, and she's also from Jonesboro, an ASU graduate, but she took a position at Arkansas State, and it's we've both been there ever since. This is our 27th year on the faculty.
That is amazing. I'm sure that Arkansas State is great. It's happy to have you. And the students are very blessed to have been under your teaching. Unfortunately, I haven't taken your class, so I don't know. Maybe we'll see what my schedule will look like later down the line. Something will open up.
We've had I know you're a sociology major. Mm-hmm. We've had a number of those students in the past. And some of our psychology undergraduate majors actually minor in sociology.
Okay.
So those two areas, there is crossover there.
Okay. And I once had a passion for adolescent psychology. I just want to learn how they tick, how they work. So maybe I'll pick that up, pick a course up again here or there. Hopefully when I get into my master's program.
We'll welcome you any semester.
Well, thank you so much. So I want to get into talking about what exactly is psychology. And before we do that, though, some people intermingle psychology and psychiatry. So first, tell the difference between those.
Well, psychology is the scientific study of behavior and mental processes.
Okay.
And most people that pursue psychology, they'll get their bachelor's degree in psychology. And those that want to continue with it will go on to graduate school, and get a master's, and some will actually go on and get the doctorate in psychology.
Okay.
Psychiatry is an area of medicine.
Okay.
And so those students will typically follow a pre-med path, and they will go to medical school.
Okay.
And then they do a residency in psychiatry. And one of the big differences is psychologists are not medical doctors, so therefore they don't prescribe drugs
Okay.
for certain mental conditions,
Okay.
where psychiatrists actually do.
Okay. So a psychologist can they refer a patient to a psychiatrist for further treatment if they deem that the patient needs prescription?
Absolutely. In fact, that's what they're supposed to do.
Okay.
And so there are times when we collaborate and work together. Now, there's some areas of psychology that are more academic, while there are other areas of psychology that are applied.
Okay.
So those applied areas are typically the areas where someone will actually get a license through the Arkansas Psychology Board or another state board and actually practice psychology. And those areas are clinical psychology, counseling psychology, school psychology, and then some of the folks that go into industrial organizational psychology. Those are typically the areas that we refer to as the practice areas that people actually get the license in through the psychology board, the state psychology board in practice.
Okay, so this program is very diverse. It offers a lot of opportunities for people to work in a variety of settings. We often hear about school psychologists at the high school, elementary school level. We hear the term therapist thrown around too. So is a therapist connected? Therapists and psychologists, are they same, different? Can you explain?
Well, what we see, and this is kind of pertaining to our area, a number of our schools do employ, in Arkansas we call them school psychology specialists.
Okay.
They're licensed through the Arkansas Department of Ed.
Okay.
And so the schools and the educational co-ops do employ us in that regard. Also, the schools will frequently contract with other mental health professionals.
Okay.
And so oftentimes those are licensed professional counselors through the Arkansas Counseling Board. They may be working through a local mental health agency, but they may also be in the schools providing mental health services to those students. Certainly we can work together.
Okay.
And school psychologists do provide various forms of intervention, therapy, et cetera, so it's probably best described as a collaborative process where we're working together to best meet the needs of the child, the student, the parents, the teacher, the other educators.
All right, and you're tuned in to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. If you have a question or comment for Dr. John Hall, please give us a call at 870-277-1080, or you can leave us a message on our Facebook live stream. I want to thank Miss Christy Mathis Conway for tuning in, and whoever else is tuned in. Drop us a comment if you have any questions or comments, or if you've been a part of the psychology program, taking any classes. We want to hear from you, so don't be afraid. Give us a call or leave us a message on our Facebook live stream. Okay, so even though you work with the master's program, you, of course, got your bachelor's. What did you get your bachelor's degree in?
My bachelor's degree was in
Psychology, okay.
I started out in zoology, and really didn't know what psychology was until I had my first class, which was Introduction to Psychology, and it just really clicked, and I thought, well, this is a neat area, so I picked up another class, and then as time went by, I realized that was probably my niche.
Okay.
Probably more so than the hard sciences.
Okay.
Yeah. Chemistry and physics, they were kind of tough, and I finally realized that maybe my mind worked a little bit differently.
Yes, sir. Yes, when I first started college in the 90s, I had the bright idea I wanted to be a pediatrician, and I started hitting those science classes. I was like, I like science, but I don't love science like that. So yeah, I had to switch it up a little bit.
Yeah, we sometimes have to find our way. My dad always, being a long-time educator, always said, really the first 2 years through that general education curriculum, that's really a way to find out where your strengths and your weaknesses are, and then make some selections. So not everybody knows what they're going to major in. They may think they do when they start college, but they have to figure it out along the way sometimes.
Yes, sir. It took me 3 times around, but I finally found.
You're here.
I finally found what I wanted to do. So, okay, so let's get into what are some of the requirements, the classes that students will look to take when they're getting into the psychology program.
Well, if you're talking about at the undergraduate level.
Okay, yes, I'm sorry. Let's start at the undergrad.
Well, we have an undergraduate core curriculum, and the first classes they'll typically take are within the general education curriculum. Pretty much all students at ASU take their freshman and their sophomore year, and then they start wading into the psychology classes, and so they'll typically take courses in developmental psychology that may include child, or as you were talking about earlier, adolescent psychology. They'll take a course, Psychology as a Science, that is really one of the earlier courses they take. That's an overview of the field, and then they'll get into other classes. They will take a statistics class, and it's not that bad. They typically have college algebra by the time they take that.
I'm taking social statistics, and I don't know what statistics is, if this is the same class that psychology students take, but...
Is it giving you a workout?
Yes. Most definitely.
Get with another good student in the class and work through those problems.
Okay. Okay, so...
They'll go on and they'll take other coursework. They'll take abnormal psychology.
Abnormal, okay.
They may take motivation, cultural psychology. We have a course related to psychometrics, which is testing. Yeah, there are a lot of different areas of psychology, experimental psychology, motivation. We have a cultural psychology class. Yes, and we have a large department. When we're fully staffed, don't hold me to this, but we probably have 17, 18 faculty members. Very, very diverse. Another class they'll take is social psychology. So on our faculty, we have experimental psychologists, we have social psychologists, we have developmental. It's a very diverse group.
Okay. And so then when they move on, they get their bachelor's, they decide they want to continue that path, and they get into the master's program. And now I'm looking at this list, and it's showing a lot of diverse, more specialized classes. How long is the master program?
Well, what we have, let me explain this. We do have a Master of Science in Psychology.
Okay.
And the program that I'm involved with is equivalent to a master's, but it's actually an EDS, which is an educational specialist.
Okay.
So it's going to typically be a few more hours than your master's. In fact, it's a 66 semester hour program. And we have 3 tracks in that program. 2 are primary. I coordinate the one that's school psychology that's nationally approved. It's approved by the National Association of School Psychologists, and it's also recognized by the Arkansas Department of Education. The other track that we have that I do want to mention, because not everybody is per se interested in psychology, is the clinical mental health counseling track.
Oh, okay.
And it is a track within the same program, and it is an EDS degree in psychology and counseling. Those students typically go on and become licensed associate counselors and then licensed professional counselors with the Arkansas Counseling Board.
Oh, wow.
So there are really 2 applied options within the department for students.
Sorry, excuse me. Okay, so I'm looking at this brochure, and this one says College of Education and Behavioral Science, Department of Psychology and Counseling, School Psychology. And I'm not saying that we've seen them more and more psychologists have been in school settings quite a while. When would you say they first came on the scene?
Well, the history is very rich, and it really started up in the northeastern part of the United States a number of years ago. But Arkansas, and this is my home state, I can say this, I'm an Arkansan by several generations. It was in a way slow to catch on in Arkansas. So we first had licensure that began, I would say in the mid-1990s. That's when the Arkansas Department of Ed first issued the license. Now before that, we had some folks that were licensed psychological examiners, and they are still out there working in the field. And they were licensed through the Arkansas Psychology Board. The Arkansas Psychology Board discontinued that license, which was at the master's level, in about 2013. So, but school psychology specialists in terms of the licensure have been around since at least the mid-1990s within our state.
Okay. I would have expected that to be, I guess, a later year, but I'm happy that they are here and are serving our families and children because it is needed now. Children, I keep saying children, students are dealing with a lot of things in school that are oftentimes unexpressed. Well, not verbally expressed. They are expressed in behavioral ways, and which can be distracting to other students or themselves, and it can interfere with their education. So at what point does the psychologist step in? Are the students referred to them, or do they pretty much, I don't want to say go around the school looking for students to talk to? How does the whole process work?
Well, typically what happens in our situation is someone will identify a student and believe that they're having some type of issue, whether it's academic, learning related, behavior, emotional, and oftentimes it is in the early elementary grades. Now we work with preschool through 12th grade, and actually some school psychologists, you may even see them at universities, working with student populations there, especially in terms of students that may present with disabilities. But it's usually early on, and that's when you want to make a referral to us, because the earlier you identify a problem, if there's a problem there, and start to work on it, the better the outcome. So preschool, grades 1, 2, 3, that's probably when we get most of our referrals, and most of them are probably academic, related to reading, related to mathematics, perhaps written language. But we do see behavioral referrals and problems along those lines. They usually come from a concerned teacher, or a principal, or other school personnel, and also from parents.
Okay, I'm looking at a list. It says, what do psychologists do? And I don't want to get too deep into this because we're going to come up on a break here soon, but we're definitely going to get into more detail into this. But they consult, educate, research, assess, and intervene. And in the next segment, I really want to go into more of these so that families out there listening can understand what psychologists do and how they're here to serve, and how families need to really start utilizing their services a lot more. That's what they're here for. They're here to help our children in school and to help recognize any of those disabilities, any of those little things that can hinder that child from learning properly. And then we'll also talk about the 13 different disabilities you mentioned. Well, you didn't mention them, the list, but you mentioned there are 13 different disabilities under special ed law. I definitely want to highlight those things as well. So again, we're speaking with Dr. John Hall from the Professor of Psychology and Counseling from Arkansas State University. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to drop us a message on our Facebook live stream or give us a call in the studio, 870-277-1080. Okay, we'll start off with the first topic of consult, as far as what school psychologists do.
Well, consultation is one of our primary roles and functions. In fact, some would argue that it's perhaps the most important role and function. And what it is a service that we provide where we work directly, but we work indirectly with the student that's having the difficulty. So what we do in these situations is, and it's really professional consultation. It's not consultation like you see in business.
Okay.
That some people think of. It's they get a referral from a parent or a teacher, and we will work very closely with that teacher or that parent to best meet the child's needs.
Okay.
And so we work with them, and they're often the ones in turn who help with the assessment process and also help with any type of intervention that might be needed. So it's an ongoing process.
Okay, we're going to pause it right there. We're going to get ready to take a break. You're tuned in to Community Conversations, and we'll be right back after these announcements.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
When the unexpected occurs, are you quick to lose your cool? I'm Mark Merrill with today's Family Minute. Before the game starts, you run to the grocery store to grab a couple of things. Just as you walk out of the store and pack your groceries into the trunk, your wife calls to say she needs one more thing. It's an unexpected moment. You have a decision to make. Keep your cool or lose it. We've all experienced something like that. So when things don't go the way you thought, here are 5 ways to keep your cool. First, be quick to listen. Try to understand how the other person is feeling in the situation. Second, be slow to speak. Instead of venting your frustrations right away, choose your words wisely. Remember, your family first.
Want to connect with Mark on Facebook? You can at facebook.com/Mark Merrill.
Family Minute is made possible by the Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a non-profit organization committed to service to all mankind. Kappa Nu Omega Alpha Kappa Alpha on Facebook and KNOMEGA1908.com.
Attention members and guests, KLEK 102.5 FM and Legends Barbecue Smokehouse is bringing you more blues and southern soul featuring Mr. Sam, performing hits like Roll It, Roll It.
She said jump up, roll it, jump back, roll it.
Zydeco some more.
Let's go, Zydeco some more. Let's go.
Go to work.
I go to work. To the left, y'all go to work. To the left, y'all go to work.
And more. Mr. Sam will be in the building at Legends Barbecue Smokehouse Saturday, September 30th. Doors open at 7 o'clock p.m., showtime 8 o'clock p.m. Tickets $10 in advance, $15 at the door. Tickets available at Legends, Cool Cuts, KLEK, and online at klekfm.org. More blues and southern soul just for you with Mr. Sam, Saturday, September 30th at Legends Barbecue Smokehouse, 1025 West Johnson Avenue in Jonesboro.
This event is a KLEK fundraiser.
KLEK thanks CJ Pepper and the staff of Life Strategies Counseling Incorporated for helping people through hard times in life such as depression, family issues, stress, abuse, and more. They offer counseling and therapy for all ages, individuals, families, and groups. They are located at 1217 Stone Street. Phone number 1-866-972-1268 or online at lscihelp.com. Starks Auto Plaza, your pre-owned superstore, is a longtime supporter of KLEK. 2829 Red Wolf Boulevard, Starks offers clean, reliable vehicles of all makes and models. Starks also offers no-hassle pricing, friendly service, financing options with approved credit. At Starks, you're always family, and our motto is, we never say no. 870-203-9980. StarksAutoPlaza.com.
Support for KLEK is brought to you by Fullness of Joy Ministries, 2120 Thorn Street, Jonesboro, under the direction of Bishop Adrian Rogers and co-pastor Susan Rogers. www.fjministries.org.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
Welcome back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We're speaking with Dr. John Hall from Arkansas State University, and he is a professor in the Psychology and Counseling Department. More specifically, he focuses on school psychology. So we're going to get back into our discussion, talking about, what do school psychologists do? We talked about the consultation aspect. Before we get any further, I want him to mention the disabilities while he has that information pulled up in relation to special education.
Yes, there are 13 disabling conditions that are recognized under federal and state special education law. And the most common one that we see that we deal with is referred to as specific learning disability. Some people call that SLD.
Okay.
And those are students that are really struggling, having difficulty in basic academic areas such as reading, writing, mathematics, written language, speech and language. Those are students that are for some reason having really significant difficulty there. So a specific learning disability probably constitutes about 50% of the students that are seen in special ed, that are identified and worked with in special ed. And then you have intellectual disability, and those are students that have below average, significantly below average general intellectual functioning, with some problems with adaptive behavior, and obviously it's during the developmental period, ages 0 to 18.
Okay. Now, with those particular students, there's a lot of frustration with some parents and families that kids are just being pushed along through the school system. How can school psychologists help with reassuring that, okay, just because the students don't make a certain grade point average or certain grades, that there's still hope for them?
Well, I think a lot of that is, and I think some of this is changing today too, but one of the real keys, and it's something that I talk about frequently along with my colleagues, is the need for early identification. So what we really need to do is, and we are doing a better job with this, identify those students very early on, kindergarten, first grade, that are struggling academically and behaviorally, and really come in with assessment that is authentic, not necessarily a test, and try to determine where they are, where their skill deficits are, how far behind they are, and really try to intervene early on before we ever have to look to see is there a disability there. So there's a real push for that in the schools, and that whole process is called response to intervention, or some people abbreviate it RTI. And more schools are developing these teams that are called RTI teams and implementing this process. And I think it's a great thing. The foundation for it started a long time ago in the 1980s when I was at the University of Cincinnati working on my doctorate. And the name has kind of changed. Back then it was called pre-referral intervention, but now it's called response to intervention. And I take my hat off to any school or any school district that is really trying to implement that in their setting.
Okay. And what response would you give to a parent? They notice something is going on with their child. and their learning abilities. They have them tested, but based on whatever the test that's provided, it doesn't recognize a learning disability. But the parent still feels there's something going on. What can a parent then maybe refer their child to the psychologist to see if they can bring something out of the child to see what is really going on?
Well, what we hope is with this process, with response to intervention, we kind of head that off at the pass.
Okay.
That we're able to go in and look to see where the child is and look at the current data.
Okay.
And really try to intervene with that. Now there are instances when a child is referred and a parent suspects a disability, and the evaluation is done, and we're part of that. But it's really it involves a number of other professionals in the school. It's what we call multidisciplinary.
Okay.
And you will have some students that, based upon the state and federal criteria, they will not qualify for special ed. It doesn't mean that they're not still having some difficulties.
Okay.
It just means that at the present time, they don't qualify. And then the job then is to, like you said, for the school personnel to come together and say, okay, what can we do here? Okay. Because you still got a student that's having some difficulties, and you certainly do want to address those. So you need to figure out a plan to be able to deal with that.
Okay. Alrighty. So I think we've touched on a little bit more of what school psychologists do when it comes to provide educational programs on classroom management strategies, parenting skills, and I see substance abuse on here. Where would this come into play?
Well, you will see students that are having difficulty with substance abuse and dependency.
Okay.
And certainly that's something that we want to deal with along with other school personnel. One role for us is prevention. So anything that we can do, whether we're working with a school counselor or we're working with some of the folks that are mental health counselors that actually come into the school, anything we can do in terms of primary prevention programs to try to actually warn students about the problems with substances and to develop strategies to avoid those. Certainly prevention is important. And then with students that have had problems, being able to work with them, especially if they've been in some type of residential facility or treatment facility when they come back into the schools, to help try to prevent relapse. And in a number of those situations, if it's severe, those students will be referred out.
Okay. And I'm also seeing on this list, working with students with disabilities or gifted and talented students. Now, some people may think gifted and talented students don't have any issues. They're, some of the brightest of the bunch, and but there could be some underlying mental issues, not necessarily disabilities, but mental issues, because they may feel a pressure to excel at a certain level. So, can you expound on that?
Well, we work with all students.
Okay.
And I think sometimes people think that we only work with students that are having real severe problems, but we want to be in a position where we can work with all students and really provide comprehensive services. So we have been in some situations involved on the front end in actually helping identify students that might be gifted and might qualify for those services. But if those students are having psychological issues or whatever, we want to be able to work with them, and certainly we're not the only ones. School counselors can step in that situation, and also teachers. Sometimes the best counselor is the teacher. Yes. Because they're the ones that are around the students all the time, and we're kind of sometimes in the background. So, yes, when I was in Ohio, not only did I do quite a bit of work with special ed, but I would do counseling, and I even sometimes had some of the school counselors refer students to me.
Okay.
So, yes, if we've got the background in counseling, that's certainly something that we can do and really provide to a wide range of students.
Okay. Now let's go on to the research aspect. Evaluate the effectiveness of academic programs, behavior management procedures, and other services provided in the school setting, and conduct research to generate new knowledge to improve learning and behavior. How important is research, continued research and development of programs?
Well, it's real important, and we certainly emphasize that to an ample degree, not to an overwhelming degree, but to an ample degree in our program, because the practices that we're focused on, whether we're talking about assessment or intervention or treatment, we want to focus on practices that are evidence-based.
Okay.
And so that means these are practices. Let's take intervention, for example, that have been proven scientifically in the professional literature to be effective for certain students with certain issues.
Okay.
And so we can take those findings and manipulate them in a way and actually apply them to a student in a similar situation with a similar problem, collect data on that student, and to determine if that procedure is actually working.
Okay.
And so that's the science aspect in terms of the treatment or the intervention.
Okay.
We don't just pull things out of the clouds or off the top of our head. We try to use evidence-based interventions and practices that we've known have worked in the past, and we apply them and carefully observe and monitor them to see if we're resolving the problem, if we're making a difference.
And that's where that statistics comes in.
Yeah, that's right. Some of it.
Yes, sir. Okay, we've touched on assessment. So once you have determined what the student needs or the family may need in terms of, being successful in their education career, whether it's elementary, high school, or college, then it says work closely with parents and teachers, school psychologists, use a wide variety of techniques to evaluate academic skills, learning aptitudes, social skills. Okay, so let's talk about that one a little bit more.
Well, social skills are those skills that they're real important because they do relate to academics.
Okay.
In fact, students that have good social skills, not surprisingly, there's sometimes the students that do well academically. But we see a number of students that are presenting today that really need some work in terms of their social skills,
Okay.
in terms of being able to cooperate with others,
Okay.
pay attention, not exhibit distracting behaviors in the classroom,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. And these are behaviors that can be taught. And I've actually been involved in some of that work. I've actually been involved in implementing some social skills training programs in the schools.
Okay.
Where we actually can come in with a program that I was referring to earlier that's evidence-based, that has some proof of working in the past, and work with teachers and work with school administrators to implement these programs. They're actually lessons that you carry out with students in the classroom that are perhaps on a weekly basis for a number of weeks to work to enhance the students' social skills.
Okay.
And we actually published a study in
Arkansas State?
At Arkansas State,
Okay.
we published a study in a national journal that showed that the program that we implemented in some of the area schools was actually effective in enhancing those students' social skills.
Okay.
So,
And where can we find that article?
Oh, let me think back. It was published a few years back.
Okay.
It was in the Journal of Applied School Psychology.
Okay.
So, yeah, I could actually get that reference to you.
I appreciate it.
We did it in some of the county schools.
Okay. people love to see. I love seeing anything that is done locally, implemented locally, in local publications or national publications, but are written about things that happen locally.
Yeah, one of the things on my to-do list is I would really like to do a similar study with a different social skills intervention, and I'd like to do that in the near future to basically to see if this particular procedure actually works. And most of our research, we were talking about research earlier, most of what we do as school psychologists is in the field in terms of our research. So we actually go out into the schools and collect our data and implement our interventions and evaluate them to see if it works. So it really is a service learning type of project, and the schools in our area that I've been involved with have been real open to that. We have partnerships with a number of the school districts, and it's just turned out to be a win-win situation for us and also the schools.
Okay, that's wonderful. And so after you do the consultation, education, research, assessment, then you intervene. Okay, it says work directly with the students or families, help solve conflicts and problems related to learning and adjustment, provide counseling, social skills training, behavior management and other interventions, and help families deal with difficult crises such as separation or loss. Okay, any of those you would like to expound on?
Well, yes, of course I can talk all day about some of these, but let me talk about behavior for just a moment.
Okay.
I've talked a lot, I guess, about academics, and by the way, I did not cover all those 13 disabling categories, but we can go back and hit on those in a minute. But a number of the referrals that we get are from teachers and parents, students having behavior problems, whether it's at school or at home. And so one of the things that we do, we follow a similar process that we do with academic problems, where we engage the problem-solving process. The first thing we have to do, for example, with a behavior problem, is specifically identify what is the problem.
Okay.
So problem identification. And then we analyze that, and it's often done through interviews, consultation, and certainly through rating scales, behavior rating scales, but very importantly through observation.
Okay.
So we will actually go in and observe the student, or have some other key person observe the student, and we'll get what we call baseline data on the problem behavior before any intervention is ever attempted, to actually see how severe it is, to see what might be triggering it in terms of the environment, or what might be maintaining it. And then based upon all that information, we will again consult, and we will develop a plan. We'll develop a treatment plan for that behavioral problem, and then we will implement that plan with the help of others, and then we will evaluate it using some of the same assessment methods that we used early on to see if it works. And if it doesn't work, we try to figure out why it didn't work.
Okay.
And we don't throw up our hands and quit if it doesn't work. We backtrack. Maybe we didn't identify it correctly. Maybe that particular intervention just didn't work, and we try again.
Okay. I'm sure that you have run across students that are very combative, resilient, and just, they at first give you a hard time. They don't want to try to adjust their behavior, or they don't realize the importance or the effectiveness of adjusting their behavior in relation to their education and just their life in general, like how big of a difference it can make. If you change some of this, this will get better over here. So have you had students come back and tell you, I really appreciate what you did for me, or what you tried to do? They may have resisted you at first, but now they can see what you tried to do, and they are now implementing those skills in their life.
Well, yeah, that certainly happens. And perhaps better individuals to speak to that might be our practitioners that are out in the schools, in the trench every day, rather than their professor.
Okay.
But yes, that really does happen. And that certainly does occur.
Okay. Well, that's wonderful that the students are recognizing their own issues and realizing they do need help, and they are willing to make the necessary changes to get better so they can be successful through every stage in their life.
And that's not to say you won't have some tough cases.
Yes. I'm sure.
You're gonna have success, but you're also gonna have some frustration along the way, and even some failures, unfortunately.
All right, so we're gonna get ready to take another quick break. When we come back, we will go through those different disabilities. I apologize for that earlier, but we will go through those disabilities and wrap up our discussion. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to give us a call, 870-277-1080, or leave us a message on our Facebook live stream, and we'll be right back after these announcements.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
We're back with Money Matters. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. You want to help that family member in need, but you don't exactly have money to just give away. Here are tips from Black Enterprise to help you decide whether to make that loan or hold on to your money. Don't be an enabler. If your relative is unwilling to talk about living beyond their means and does not seem genuinely interested in creating a spending plan, you are enabling them. You should also never tap into money earmarked for retirement and education savings. Who else would be affected by the loan? Make sure you discuss this decision with your family and other dependents before you make the loan so that you can make the choice together. What impacts you impacts them. Also, get real about the fact that if you give a relative or anyone else for that matter money, you are unlikely to get it back. Think of it as a gift and talk to your accountant about the IRS codes for gift giving. And if you can't afford the gift, you can't afford the loan. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. for Money Matters, a product of American Urban Radio Networks.
Money Matters is made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization dedicated to uncompromising commitment to communities, service, leadership, empowerment. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
Money Matters is brought to you by Bancorp South, offering checking, savings, loans, credit cards, and wealth management. 5 locations in Jonesboro to serve you. www.bancorpsouth.com or 870-972-9800.
Danny Ford, owner of Glen Saint Motors in Paragould, strongly believes in the values of family and hard work with a commitment to the men and women of the U.S. Armed Forces who keep America free, providing sales and servicing of Chevys, GMCs, Buicks, and Cadillacs, located at 6345 Highway 49 in Paragould. 870-565-4358. Details at glenstparagould.com and at klekfm.org. God bless our troops.
Arkansas Early Learning offers child care activities and educational programs to children ages 0 to 5. That gives them a head start in life. Arkansas Early Learning is in the community at no cost. Applications at arearlylearning.org. That's arearlylearning.org or on Facebook at Arkansas Early Learning.
Arkansas Early Learning is a nonprofit organization.
From the KLEK Community Calendar, Habitat for Humanity of Greater Jonesboro is now accepting housing applications. Habitat for Humanity of Greater Jonesboro is a nonprofit organization that extends a hands-up opportunity to those in need of home ownership. Since 1992, Habitat for Humanity of Greater Jonesboro has helped build homes for a total of 20 families. To become a recipient for a Habitat home, a family must meet the following qualifications: demonstrate a need for housing, be willing to partner, and have the ability to pay. Applications are available at www.jonesborohabitat.com or at their office at 520 West Monroe Avenue in Jonesboro. More information is available via Michael Sullivan at 870-203-9898 or M. Sullivan at jonesborohabitat.com. Applications are due October 15th, 2017.
KLEK is starting a new fundraiser which will allow listeners to donate to KLEK while buying groceries. KLEK is a part of the Kroger Community Rewards fundraising program. When shoppers visit a participating Kroger and scan his or her Kroger Plus Shoppers Card, a portion of the savings goes back to KLEK to help keep it on the air. Details on how to sign up for the program are available at KrogerCommunityRewards.com and at KLEKFM.org. This is a KLEK fundraiser.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
All right, welcome back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We're speaking with Dr. John Hall of Arkansas State University. He's a professor in the psychology and counseling program. And so we have been talking about school psychologists, what kind of classes to expect at Arkansas State University. If you're deciding to go into the psychology field for undergrad and graduate, you can always go to Arkansas State University and look up their courses so that you can see, okay, is this really what I want to get into? And look at the different tracks that are available, because once you get to the master's level, there's a diversity. There's different levels, different tracks you can take in the psychology department. But before we, run out of time, I wanted to give Dr. Hall time to discuss the different disabilities. We've been talking around it, but I want to make sure to give him time to list those different disabilities that are under the special ed law. Special education, I'm sorry.
Yes, and these are the 13 disabling categories that are recognized by the federal government and also Arkansas,
okay,
or really any other state that you're going to reside in. And the one that comprises the bulk of the students in special ed is the one I already mentioned. It's specific learning disability.
Okay.
And then that's probably going to be followed by intellectual disability.
Okay.
In the earlier days, it was referred to as mental retardation, but that name has changed, and now it's intellectual disability. It's ID. And then there's OHI, which is other health impaired.
Okay.
And so those are students that may have significant health impairments that are going to interfere with their educational functioning. For example, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or some type of medical condition like diabetes, or something along with epilepsy, something along those lines that a physician has documented, and it really does adversely affect their educational performance.
Okay.
And then there's what some people call emotionally disturbed. Those are students that are having significant behavioral and emotional types of difficulties, and it interferes with their academic performance to a specific degree. They may be eligible and benefit from special ed services. It's important to realize that with all of these different conditions, they're set qualifications. So one just can't say, well, this student has this particular disability. The evaluation process will bring that out if it's present. So sometimes students will be deemed eligible, and other times they will not.
Okay.
The other categories are hearing impaired, visually impaired, orthopedic impairment, autism, which seems to be on the rise these days, and multiple disabilities, traumatic brain injury, speech and language impairment, blindness, and deafness. I think I've hit on 13 here.
Okay. Now, I want to, not to overlook any, but I want to back up to, the one about emotional. Now, when a family suffers a loss, say a student loses one parent or a parent or family member, and they're suffering from grief, should the psychologist step in at that point to try to help the student work through whatever they're feeling so they can stay on track with their education? Or is it up to the parent again to refer the student, or counselor or teacher to refer the students to the psychologist?
Well, the school psychologist, for example, may not pick up on that because, again, they're kind of in the background.
Okay.
But if a parent or a teacher notices bereavement, complicated bereavement, then they really should seek out a professional to try to assist that student. That could certainly be the school counselor. It could be a mental health counselor, like we were talking about earlier, a licensed professional counselor who's also providing services through the school. It could be the school psychologist. And certainly if they wanted to go outside the school, which sometimes parents want to do that, they could certainly do that. And we have some really good mental health agencies in our area. But you do want to deal with those issues, and you certainly want to deal with them early on before you're dealing with a more severe type of condition such as major depression.
Yes, sir. Now, I want to also touch on the one concerning autism. I've known several students personally that I've gone to church with, just from the community, that have been diagnosed with autism on various levels of the spectrum. But as they get older into their teenage years, they don't want to be recognized, as having autism because it comes with a stigmatism. Do you feel that they should still not acknowledge that they've been diagnosed with that and just try to live a normal as possible life, or should they still seek some type of help or assistance just dealing with the different aspects of it?
Well, I guess it depends on how well they're actually coping with it.
Okay.
And so if they feel like they're doing okay, and if significant others who are around them feel like that they're doing okay, that may be the way to go.
Okay.
But certainly if they're having issues, then you want to be able to provide assistance in those situations. So when you do think of autism, you really do think about early onset, early identification. The earlier you can identify it and start to work on it, the better the prognosis.
Okay.
And so a lot of the interventions are going to be intensive early on. But the goal is, on down the road, for the individual to be able to function as normally as possible and achieve to their highest degree. And that takes a lot of support along the way.
All right, so in our last minute, do you have any final thoughts or shout outs to anyone?
Well, I want to thank you for being here. You're great to interview with. And if anyone is interested in psychology at Arkansas State University, whether it's undergrad level or at the graduate level, with our nationally approved school psychology program or our program in counseling, please feel free to contact me. And my email is jhall@astate.edu. My phone number is 972-3041. And if I cannot answer your questions, I will certainly try to put you in touch with our professors that can. We have an outstanding department, Department of Psychology and Counseling in the College of Education and Behavioral Sciences. And so we're here. Just give us a shout out.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Hall, for joining us. And I hope you all have a very great day. Thank you for tuning in. And stay tuned. And we'll be back tomorrow at 9 a.m.
Thank you for listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily